Welcome in, everybody! Welcome on in! I hope you guys are ready, because it's time. It's time that you learn to draw something worth your salt. It's time to add to the skills that you've been cultivating all your lives. It's time to draw me! Are you ready? Sorry, it came in really hot today. We came in so hot today. We're learning how to draw today. So everybody get your pens, get your pencils out. Pop quiz at the end. We're ready to go. We totally got this. Oh, you're at work. I don't know. It's okay. This will be recorded and it's also going to be on YouTube. So if you ever want to watch it again and learn how to do some stuff, then you can. We're drawing my character today, which I just love doing this. It's just so fun. It's so ridiculously silly. You know, there's something to be said about I do like characters and stuff like that, but I love my character because it's a cartoon and I can do whatever I want because cartoons don't rely on the real world physics. Earlier today, I drew a very quick, very sketchy little thing to work off of. This is about the proportions of my standing cat versus the cat, which I draw them interchangeably all the time. I do this because that I think that's the way I like to look at them. I think that either of these could be like the real form, you know what I mean? And depending on what you're drawing, it gives you a lot more sort of interest depending on what you are drawing to have the two different forms, because there's some things that a cat just can't do, and there's some things that humanoid just can't do. So I like having both. We're gonna focus mostly on this one. Why? Because I'm gonna assume most people in the chat are beginners, never touched a pen before, or anything like that, which is, this is just me assuming. You guys could be way more skilled than I am, for all I know, you know? But I wanna focus on the humanoid ones because this is majority of the time what people are going to draw and what they might come back to see drawn. Either way, for simplicity's sake and not having to go through all of cat anatomy, I'm gonna stick with the humanoid. This stack of balls here is very important. This basically is a head. So this is like a bunch of I need to not use like the most blinding red possible. But like this is just a bunch of kitty heads. Kitty as in by the way, I will be referring to the character's name as Kitty because the cat's name is Kitty Amazing. Just to clear that up before we start. So this is a bunch of kitty heads right here. This is how you tell how tall a character is. Because since we're not using real life pieces of technology or, you know, whatever, like we don't have a house in the background to kind of measure it off to make it make sense, this is how you usually decide how big your character is. You count heads. So as you can see, Kitty Amazing is 4 heads tall, which makes sense because they're about 4 feet tall. So this is just a guideline, by the way. It doesn't have to be 4 heads tall, especially if you're making your own character. Just know this. I have a character that's 2 heads tall. It's literally like this, like, and then like, it's like, you know, like you don't, this is just a little guideline for all characters. But you can have a character be as big or as small as you want it to. And, like, using heads to consistently draw it over and over and over again is a helpful trick so that you don't keep having weird sort of, you know, one day your character looks like, you know, like this, and then the next day your character looks like, you know, this. It's just an easy, like, this is obviously an extreme difference, but this is basically just a little guideline for you guys to end up drawing your characters over and over and over again without having extreme differences that make it look like a completely different character. It's a good thing to know if you're ever interested in character design. Even though your character is still going to be the same height, no matter where you put them, depending on the perspective of the drawing or the angle you want it on, will make the character significantly smaller or taller or bigger. But this is just a good range. Straight on, you know how to draw like this. Well, not draw it yet. I haven't got there yet. But I'm gonna continue here. So let's start with just the whole body, and then we'll get into details. Sound good? Sound good? So for this character in particular, we have, I'm just gonna put a new thing here. I'm gonna scoot the little guy out of here. They were just an example, you know. We're gonna, and then get rid of you. All right, so now we can go side by side. If you want to pull this drawing into your own canvas, if you are following along, you are welcome to help you out. So the first thing we're gonna do is draw the head, which is just a circle. You're gonna hear this a lot. This character is mostly circles. Like, without a doubt, it is mostly circles. Circle equals cute. Exactly. Actually, that's a good point, right? Because depending on what character you are drawing, it might be very angular, it might be very square, and all those convey a different emotion. Some of them are mixtures of them. You know, you think of characters like, I think Buzz Lightyear is very rounded, but also has shapes in it. Like, he's almost got like this like hard triangle shape, and then like these very other roundly features, which gives him kind of like a, when he needs to be sharp and heroic, he looks like that, and then when he needs to look dumb and goofy, he can also look like that. So you can mix and match to get what you want. Obviously, we're talking here about a void cat that is only true purpose is to get close to humans, so it can, you know, leech off of them, eat their food and their snacks, and laze around their house, and, you know. So, we want this creature to look very cute. That's its whole purpose. For those who don't know, that's why it's kind of a cat. It's not really. Okay, so going in, we have the head, alright? For the body, once again, this is basically like, you can almost do any shape, like, body type imaginable, just by, like, something we call the sandbag. I don't know if you guys ever seen a sandbag, but it kind of looks like, you know, like, or like a pillow or something, and it kind of looks like, like that, you know? And, like, basically by stretching and squashing this sandbag, you can get all sorts of really neat shapes. And this is how you, like, this is basically the general thing you want to think of when drawing a torso, right? Because depending on how you draw the sandbag, so let's just say I draw the sandbag looking like kind of bent over like that, right? If I draw the sandbag like this, it almost conveys like a sad, you know, sort of emotion. And then you can kind of just add features onto it and make it, you know, sad. Or like, if you want it to be more peppy, like mine is, right? Then you kind of have the sandbag nice and stretched out and conveying this almost emotion of confidence, right? So that's kind of what you want to think when you're posing, which is just a little tidbit. You guys don't need to do that right now. We're just worried about what the actual cat looks like. So here we go. Kitty is a hourglass shape. No boobs to be speaking of, but is in fact an hourglass shape. So we'll take the top of our sandbag and we'll draw like this kind of, what is this shape called again? Oh man, what is this fucking shape called again? Cass, you were good at math. What's this shape called? Is it like a rhombus or something? Is it a rhombus? Is this a rhombus? I can't remember what that shape is called.
That's a bowl.
No, it's not a bowl.
Yeah, it's a bowl from the side.
Alright, everybody draw a bowl.
From the side.
From the side. What do you, there's the side of a bowl. It's round. Wow. And then, this is like, and mind you, if you want a cute humanoid character, I suggest these shapes, by the way. male or female, the cute big hips is a mood. It's just a whole vibe, you know? So, and then we're gonna bring out the hips like this. Kitty is a little on the chubby side, but like mostly bottom thickness. So you always want to keep that into consideration. So by the time we get down here, right, you can see that the torso, give or take, is about a head and a half, right? So with it being about a head and a half, that actually gives us a good like idea on how big this thing should actually be, right? And then you have a head and a half left for the legs. Which, by the way, when you were drawing this character, I, like, if you know, if you've drawn ever before, you will always make this character too tall. It has ridiculously small legs. So, now that you got your, basically, two circles, it's pretty much what it is, now we can add some legs. These legs are really short. They're also semi-digigrade. Just semi. And digigrade legs are really hard, so don't feel like you have to do them. Digigrade just basically means that, like, they come back like this, and they do, like, this kind of shape. Basically, I think it's, like, their hip is here, and then, like, this is, like, technically their foot or something like that. So, you don't need to do digigrade legs. These are only slight, which basically just means that they just, like, come in just a little bit, unlike this, like, crazy sort of look to them, which is just, like, a more, obvious digigrade. You don't need to do that, by the way. You don't need to add digigrade legs to this cat. You absolutely don't have to. It's just, it's part of the design, but, don't worry about that. So, when we get these legs down, I'm gonna add a little digigrade to it. As you can see, if you do want to do it, it's basically just taking the knee and pushing it back just a little bit. Just a small amount. And then pushing the foot forward. It's a very, like, I did actually even less over there. But basically all you have to do is draw a circle for the thigh, draw another circle here, and then just kind of bring it out and pull it a little further out, if that makes sense. Once again, I did it, like, way too strong. I'm, like, trying to show you guys, but, like, it's hard to show it without getting it a little too strong. That's better, that's better. But yeah, just a little bit digigrade, not much. The front, if you're doing this one, this pose where it's in the front, you can just do, you know, just a small amount. I feel like this is still too harsh. I feel like that one's still a little too harsh. I could probably go like that. Yeah, that's a little better. And as you can see, the shorter you make legs, the more chunky they're gonna look. This is normal. If you do not want chunky legs, make your character tall. No joke. That's it. That's, like, the only thing is, like, you want your character to not have chunky legs, you just make them taller. That's all it comes down to. If I draw, like, this character, hold on, let me see if I can make some room. Actually, we can just turn off that for a second. Like, if I want to make this character look like, you could make cute multiple ways, right? But let's just say I want the same shape. I want the same, like hourglass shape, right? But I don't want the legs to look chunky. I can literally just, like, lengthen them. And I'm not gonna draw. You know what I mean? This is more if you want to make your own character and you're trying to figure out how to get a more desired look. Like, this doesn't work for my character, obviously. It would look pretty ridiculous, you know? There's, like, yeah, you know, but, like, if that's something you want for your character, that's how you achieve it. You basically just want to make it so, their legs are longer, and then they won't look chunky, because the reason they look so chunky is because they are literally just, like, short legs. So, on to the next part, and we're gonna delete this guy. Get out of here! Okay, so the body is pretty set. It's basically circle. Whoa, hold on. There we go. It's basically circle, 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 or I guess oval, 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 oval. There you go. That is the entire body of Kitty Amazing. And so once we get past this part, we want to add some arms. You may notice on the original drawing, I have like this kind of like sleeve, like kind of drawing I did. This is intentional because they need shoulders. My style doesn't have a lot of shoulder to begin with. When I draw things a little more realistic, they do, you know? Like they're, like let's say I'm doing something like this, right? They'll actually have shoulders. But because of the style that I use, my style basically, they don't really have a lot of shoulders, and this is kind of a bit of a bait, because sometimes you can get caught in it and then you don't have any shoulders. Which works if you're doing something like a pose like this or something, right? But you're gonna get a much more desired effect if you just add like a little sleeve, almost. Like imagine like a little short sleeve, and you kind of want to just add that to like give it the impression that they have shoulders, they're able to move their arms, and they don't just have little stick arms just sticking out, you know? You could probably do this with a circle as well, as everything is this just goes back to circles. The only problem with circles on these is like you can use it to like kind of judge it, but I feel like you're gonna get to a part where the arm kind of comes out like, hold on, let me just redraw this. Hold on. You're basically gonna have your arm coming out like this, and it's gonna feel like it's missing something, and that's because it actually is. You want it connected to the body, right? Which is why drawing this little sleeve helps a lot. Because it gives the kind of like more of an impression that's actually attached and not just coming out. Mind you, depending on your style, you can really do anything. Like, there's no rules to art. I'm not a huge fan of those memes that are like, don't do this, do this! Like, no, you can do whatever you want. You can literally do whatever you want. The wonderful thing about art is that it's subjective, it's 100% your own, and you don't need to follow anyone's version of it. Like, I feel like, especially as we get older, we fall into this trap of where things are supposed to be done a certain way, and mind you, there are aesthetic things that are connected with doing things a correct way. Anyway, as we continue here, getting a little off kilter, sorry guys. But yeah, like, basically you just want a shoulder, and I find the best way to do that is add little sleeves. Don't worry, the sleeves won't stay there forever, but the sleeves will help you in your progress to have movable arms, which is very nice. I personally like having movable arms. So then we're gonna take the arms, and I did actually not do a thing for this, but just to let you guys know, and you will know this, if you stand up and you put your arm by your side, it goes about, I would say, to the middle of your thigh, I would say. Probably about the middle. And you can, once again, depending on what you're doing, you can 100% change this. If you want creepy long arms, you can do that. If you want little dinosaur arms, you can do that, right? But the general thing is you kind of want to add that they don't go too far down if you're making it a humanoid, that is. Once again, there's no rules to art, guys. There's really not. It's just fake news. There is not rules. The only time there's rules is like when you're drawing a character. Like a character that doesn't exist, or that does currently exist. Then you're like, oh yeah, it probably needs to look, you know, have the same colors, be the same species. But even still, people do like gender bent stuff all the time. So for me, for the cats, it's gonna come down to the first part of the arm, the elbow, is probably gonna come back to, let's just say, if we look at our stack of heads, it's about in between, like right in the middle. And then I'm gonna bring the arm out, and then there. So we're about half. So we're about where the thighs start, which, for this character, they're pretty short. Keep in mind that this character is short. If you wanted to do more, like, on the human side, they'd probably go down to about here. And maybe they would technically come down to about there if they were leaning down, but since we're doing kind of an A pose, they're going to be a little out. Just a little side note, A pose is when you have your arms out like that. T pose is when you have your arms out like that. And then, so, now we got my looking a little scared. But that's okay. If we wanted to, I wanted to just show off the arms. If you don't want to have that kind of scared look and you want it to be a little more relaxed, simple as just don't make such an extreme curve. Simple as that. Right? You just want it to be like that. You can also make them actually just like, you know, fall forward like that. But we're not doing that right now. We're just drawing the way this is. Okay. And then I'm gonna add my little bell. Not intent, you know, you really don't need to put on clothes at this point, by the way. We're still just drawing the body. We can put the little heart there if we wanted to. This character can be drawn naked or not, it doesn't really matter. But if you do want to put clothes on it, it's simple as, like, little line there, and big fucking sleeves. And then off the shoulders. There you go. You can just follow the lines. Yeah, it's pretty simple. Okay, alright. So, for the eyeballs, we do this the same way we did the head, if you really want to, like, draw the same character over and over and over again. You basically, but instead of, like, using head shapes, you want to use the eye. So, like, you know, the head is about an eye and a half big, you know? Like, that's how, if you wanted to, you can figure out where everything goes over and over again. For me, I've drawn this character enough that I know the placement, which is basically these big, wide, freaking circle eyes. Quick trick, quick pointer here. You may have noticed that there is a thinner line for the inside of the eye and under the eye, and then I thicken it up here. That is intentional. That gives the idea of an eyelash or an eyelid. If you have a female character, you could also put, like, a little, like, triangle there to give it, like, kind of like an eyelash, like a big eyelash. But if not, this is perfect. This, like, this gives it depth without, like, having to shade the ever-living crap out of it. Okay. For the eyeballs, pretty simple. I just do another circle, and then a circle, and then a circle again. Are you guys seeing a pattern yet about this character? It's just all circles. It's all circles, guys. It's literally just all circles. Then you would take this and just draw it on the other side. I feel like that goes without saying, you know? If you are a new artist, okay, very new artist, I highly, highly suggest, if you're using a program, not to just copy, paste, and flip. The biggest thing is, I would say, for new artists is to make sure that you actually draw the other eye. Because eventually you can just flip it, make your life easier, you know, get it done faster. But if you never draw the other eye, you're never gonna get those, like, those skills with your hands to be able to do that. Like, it does take muscle memory. And you want to be able to kind of redraw things over and over again. It's just good practice. So, make good habits. Just draw the other eye. You don't need to flip it. You got this. But if you're just getting frustrated, then you can flip it. I just suggest that you don't. I just suggest that you don't. You know, I didn't make the eye shine. You don't actually need to add the eye shine, by the way, guys. It's just, like I said, this is just style more than anything. You don't have to. Just a style choice. So, okay, yeah, that is how you tell basically how big the character is. You can just take that eye shape, be like, oh, okay, it's about maybe an eye, 2 eyes, and, like, I think it's about 3 eyes tall. Which, if you want to draw something over and over and over again, you wanna take those things into account. Those are bigger than I had before. So, we'll just draw the eyeballs, right? I'm gonna draw the little eye shines, because they make it easier for me. We're gonna add the little eye lip here, which, don't forget, that just gives it basically just gives an idea of depth without drawing depth. It's just like, with cartoons, you have to use as limited tools as possible to get an effect. The idea was originally as you guys probably know, is that you're animating cartoons, right? And you need them to be where you can draw them over and over again very fast. That's why they're so simple. What's your character's name? This character's name is Kitty Amazing. It's based off of a really old show on YouTube. I think it was called Dick Figures. Yeah. They're called Kitty Amazing. It's not the most creative of names, admittedly. But yeah, so next thing you want to do is Kitty has 3 of these. I'm gonna over-explain these as I always do, because I feel like I draw them so often that I kind of forget what I do to actually draw them, so let me over-explain this. You want the first one to be big. This shape where it kind of cascades in just a little bit, is to, like, give the idea, once again, of, like, depth that's not actually there. If you do this kind of cascading one, then you can add the next one, alright? And then you want this one to be almost more flat, like, almost like that instead, right? This is just so they don't, you know, go like that, which is not super pretty. So you kind of want it just to be flat, and then do the thing again. This will be smaller than the first one, and as in fashion of doing this, the last one is the smallest, and it can literally just be like a little V there. So that's kind of the general shape you're looking for. This part is kind of funny because I think every time I draw these, I draw them different sizes. Like, every single time. So feel free to make them gigantic. Or tiny. It's up to you. I don't know how I measure these. I just did it. Alright. So, once you have both sides, hopefully everybody is caught up. Once we have both sides, we're gonna go ahead and do the ears. The ears are gonna be a little more difficult, because you can really change the look and of a character just by having ears in the wrong place. What we want to do is we want to have this nice forehead space, alright? So, the forehead space is almost like, I would say, not quite the middle of the eye, it's just a little on the inside. Like, if you were to take, like, a middle line, you take, like, the one next to it, you know? The reason we do that is because we want this area for, like, this character has hair, as you all know. We want room for that. And it also gives a good idea on where to put this ear, right? Because now, even if, like, I just do, like, pointed ears, right? I have that as, like, kind of a... I don't know, I think it's just an aesthetic choice, honestly. You can put ears wherever you want, but I do feel like if you have a good amount of forehead space, it just makes it look a little less, like, almost, like, attached, I guess. Everything you want to do is rounded. Everything about this character is rounded. That being said, obviously some of you might be drawing with a mouse. Don't worry if it's not rounded, it's cool. For the ears, once you've got them down like this, you got this rounded shape with this forehead. So, I'll show you what I mean, though, by if you don't draw the forehead, right? If you kind of don't give yourself an idea of where the ears go, you're just gonna be like, you know, like, it's just easier to just, like, kind of put an area where you think you want a forehead, and then go from there. They can just straight attach to the little tufts of fur. Alright, inside of the ear, we are gonna draw a line like that. You want to give yourself some room between here and here. You don't want it like this, because that is not the direction my ears are going. This will depend on the angle of the head. As all of you guys know, that depending on which way you're looking, your ears don't just magically follow, you know what I mean? If it's looking this way, your ears are gonna look more like this, you know? So, you want to think about that when drawing ears. It's like, which way are they facing? These ones are kind of facing a little out a little bit. Kind of a little more, like, forward, but not quite. So we want a line that's not quite too close, but is getting closer at the tip. See how it's, like, kind of cascading towards there? This way, you can either attach it there, and then you have, like, this kind of space that looks like it could be inner, you know? Or, you can do what I do, And you can take this, you can put the line not quite attached, and drag it down. And this should be almost parallel with this. Like, it should look about the same from each other, from the top to the bottom. So something like that. I'm not actually a huge fan of this ear, but that's okay. There's nothing wrong with erasing and trying again. Oh god. Alright. Okay! We've got 2 ears. We've got little tufts of fur. We've got a body. We've got a head. We've got eyes. All we're missing is the derpiest fucking head face you could possibly put. Alright? And this is depending on what you want to do. But I always like to strive for the furthest stupid I can do. I strive for the dumbest crap I can possibly put on a screen. So, I'm gonna put mine up here. But you can put it wherever you want. It's just a little 3, you can put it wherever you want. And then if you really, like, because I put my face up so high, by the way, that means I can have this, like, really dumb, yay! And you got some teepers, and draw a little heart, you know? It's perfect. Now, before we continue, we must draw some spots. Alright? This is very, very, very difficult. Just wait 1 second, alright? You're gonna start from the bottom of the ear. You're gonna go straight up. You're gonna come out the middle of the ear. And then you're gonna go to the head. Then you're gonna put a little heart in there, because you can. Because you're whimsy as shit. Alright? Your next line. You're gonna take it from about there. You're gonna bring it right underneath the eye. You're gonna attach it to this little tuft of fur. Congratulations! You've done it. You've drawn the cat's face. Everybody sit back and give yourself a round of applause because you have done it. The only thing you were missing is hair. And to do hair, this is actually probably a little harder for some people, but what I like to do to indicate kind of like that is actually attached is I'll do like a little V, and then like I'll go like that, right? So like that. Okay. The reason I'm showing you there is because I don't think it's going to show up really well here. Maybe I can pick a different color or something so we can get it to actually show up. But like basically like that. And then you're just gonna go crazy with it. You're gonna add a little idiot hair in the back. I can't remember what the Japanese word for it is. You're gonna just this takes practice, honestly. It's just all practice, you know? So if you can't see, it's kind of like this like almost like weird banana shape, you know? Hold on. It's almost like a weird banana shape. You want to, like, bring out your best Leon Kennedy, you know? Like, for that eyebrow. That's you want to just bring your best Leon Kennedy out for that one. Except make it, you know, longer. And then the back is just some more swoops. More swoops. Right. When I do hair, I like to think of, like, the same thing you did with the fluffs, right? Where they kind of, like, cascade into each other, right? But it's going kind of the opposite direction. So you kind of want to do, like, you kind of want that shape that can go into each other pretty nicely. Obviously, this is extremely cartoony. You can do better hair than this, probably. I can't be fucking bothered to draw every single fucking strand. But yeah, basically you kind of almost want to use that shape. And depending how poofy it is, you can get it really crazy. You can start like, poof, poof, like, you know, like you can really get it ridiculous. You know? Like, you really go just crazy with it. That's it! You've done it. Congratulations! You've drawn the kitty amazing. The only thing to do now is to turn down the opacity all the way, or take your eraser, depending on what kind of media you're using, get rid of all the ugly lines, and, you know, just draw it on a new layer. So it's actually freaking visible. You should never be afraid to draw over your work, especially if you're using like a program on the computer. There's just no reason to worry about that stuff. You're just gonna open another layer, go over it again, you know, make it visible to everybody. Now, obviously, I do this extremely fast, but keep in mind that I've drawn this character for, like, since, like, I want to say 2016. It exists to make it messy, so you can peel back the layers. Yeah, exactly. So, like, if you're using, you know, I think even MS Paint has layers at this point. I think even MS Paint has freaking layers at this point. But if you're using any internet one, there's no point of making it worrying about lines. If you're using a pencil, you probably just want to be light with your lines. But for the most part, you don't need to worry about that. I'm also just kind of fast in general when it comes to drawing. I have been told that I'm very fast. I'm not gonna list them all, but like Krita, GIMP, like there's so many free programs. And they all have layers. They all use layers. So use your layers. Don't worry about how messy it is. You guys will see sometimes when I'm drawing stuff that I don't know what I'm doing. Like if I'm drawing something a little more, I don't know, like intricate. You guys will see me literally use like 10 layers of sketches. That's what they're there for. Oh, I did forget one crucial thing, and I'm sure you guys definitely know what it is, and absolutely are like, why? How could you possibly miss this? All right, I'll do it for you guys. Okay, it'll be fine. Don't worry. I got you. All right, here it is. If you guys want to draw Kitty's tail, good luck. It's about, I think, like, I don't actually know how long it is. It's too long. There you go. Done. Be like Shrek, have layers. Be like Shrek, have layers. If you want to continue this, I can show you how to do the small cat too. Alright, we're gonna do this one quickly. Alright, we're gonna do this more quickly. Next up. But yeah, so you draw a circle, alright? As we always do. This character is made up of primarily circles. As we all know. Then you draw another circle. Alright? This is the chest. Alright, so you got 2 circles. Alright, draw a third circle. Alright, the circles are going to look like, a strange fallen over snowman. Alright? And then, because the cat, this version of my cat is really bean shaped. Like, they're just like, if you look at them from the side, you know, they're just like a bean. You know? Like that, you know? So, because we're doing a little bit of a front-on photo here, this is, by the way, this is hard mode. The other one was easier. This one's a little harder. You actually kind of need to know cats. So now we're going to attach them. You may wonder, why didn't I just attach the bean normally? Because I'm probably actually going to use this line. So instead I added another ball. And then we're going to take this ball and we're going to pull off of it. And then we're going to, so this is going to be the back leg. This is actually kind of getting into difficult territory. But basically what we're aiming for is like this digigrade sort of look, right? So we got the tummy here, right? Because we're looking forward, we're looking at it. So when you look at it, obviously it's going to be in perspective, which is, you know, right? So that's where this like line comes in. That's why I added another one to make your life a little easier. But basically, if you wanted to look at this as an actual shape, it looks kind of like that, right? So that's like an oval. Make this back leg. We're gonna add a little chicken nugget leg here. We're gonna add this little bend here. And then go down. And if it looks like a little chicken arm, you've done well. So, if you erase all that, right, you have this little digigrade leg. I keep messing up my pens. There we go. Yeah, this little digigrade leg, also known as a chicken wing, right? That's how you do it from the front. Once we have a chicken leg in place, front legs. See, how we have these little guys.
Is that a man riding a shrimp?
Woo! So, with these little front legs, man, I don't even know how to... I guess the best way to explain them is that they're kind of just like an oval, right? Like kind of like an oval with a little taper, and then you kind of want to put like a little foot on the end. That's kind of what you want to do, right? When I draw this cat, I think of like, you know how like some cats, they just like look at you and they almost look like fake? You know, they're just like, they're standing with such like this almost like doll plushy like look, and you're just like, oh, you're so cute, and then you scoop them up and then they're like, ah! And you're like, oh, this is why I don't do that. Almost like a glass cup. You keep calling things bowl-shaped. So, like, every step of this way, every step of this character is basically you just, like, you want to round out every line, basically. You know, you want to take the most, like, puffed pastry look. You want to, like, your inner, like, this is a chubby, cute, adorable thing, alright? You wanna think about that, alright? For the back leg, you're gonna need a back leg, because it doesn't make sense without one, right? This, depending on where you put it, can be a little sus. So just be aware of that when you draw it. If you put it in certain places, it might look a little sus. just keep that in mind. All I wanted to add. You'll know when you put in the sus spot. Sus legs! Take note! Yeah, I mean, if you put it a little too, you know, crotchal area, it's gonna look a little sus. Okay, so now that we got this fat little sausage roll, you're almost done. Now we just need to do the same thing we did with the big version, and draw a face. So I have a weird circle here. I'm gonna fix this. If you're gonna draw something like this, you can get away with doing like almost like a tapered sort of head, where like it's a little, it's like a circle, but like it comes out a little bit further at the bottom. This will give it a little bit of dimension. Doesn't super matter for this character because they have those big cheek puffs that are gonna kind of hide it. Oh yeah, there is a neck. This character does in fact have a neck, okay? It does. It's just hard to see because there's a big fucking bell in the way. But if you want to draw a neck, just like a little, another, you know, kind of circly sort of thing you can draw through if it helps, you know? Alright. So there's the neck. We've got the tapered little head. We're gonna do the same thing as before. With the, with giving your character a forehead and then adding the ears. This is just to give you a better idea of where you should put your ears. Like I said, there's no real rules when it comes to art, alright? You can really do anything. This is just a little guideline I use, just to make sure they kind of end up in the same place. Now that you got the little ears, you want to add more of the fluff. You got 3 little don't call them fluffers, what am I doing? For that one, on the other side, you're gonna add them in. My head is kind of turned on an angle, so I'm gonna bring these in just a little bit to give it the illusion that it's turned. It's looking straight forward. Alright, and now we are on to the little face, which basically is just like, take your 2 little eyeballs and draw a cat face. Like, draw just the simplest little cat face, alright? So if you go to your side and you want to practice, you can do like, you know, like it's just like 2 round eyeballs. You can even make them like actual circles, right? This is up to you. I like the little oval-y ones, but this is up to you. And then we're gonna do the same thing with the spots, where we go from the ear up, heart. Then we go from about the middle down under the other eye. This one goes through, this one goes under. Put a little heart in the chest, and we'll add a tail, and then we'll be done. So, up to you. I'm gonna do like an excited tail, and we're just gonna, there we go. There we go! Now, If you want to clean this up, very simple. You know, we'll put a new layer usually, right? But just for simplicity's sake and very quick, I'm gonna get rid of all the lines that you guys should get rid of. And then, there we go. You guys can kind of take a look and see what I've done here. We're gonna fix some of these lines too. But basically, you just want to keep in mind that to show off that you have some kind of depth, you're gonna have lines that go over each other, under each other, slightly in. Like, see how the leg... Here, I'm gonna get rid of the heart for a second, just so you can see better. But like, see how I have the leg, like, slightly inside of the body? This is because it's attached, you know what I mean? If you have it like this, it's not gonna have any depth. It's gonna lose a lot of depth. It's still right, it's not wrong, but you just get so much more when you have something like that. And then we're gonna go ahead and add the bell. Ta-da! And you did it, guys. You did it. Good fucking job. This is how you do it, guys. This is how you draw the cat. Did anyone follow along? Did anyone learn anything? Do we have any questions, concerns? I'd say this is like the highlight of my day, teaching you guys how to draw.